I've got your energy stories for the fourth week of January 2026. And just like that, 3 different federal judges ruled that the Trump administration's offshore wind stop work orders should be overruled, allowing work to resume. In the latest decision last Friday, January 16th, a judge granted Dominion's 2+ gigawatt offshore project a preliminary injunction. This lets work continue while a lawsuit challenging the federal order proceeds. The Trump administration's action had cited an unspecified national security risk, but the 3 judges in pushing back essentially said the same thing, that the government had failed to demonstrate that any national security risk was so urgent that construction must cease, and that the project's economics were being harmed as a consequence of the government's actions. Particularly fascinating in the Dominion case is that Mid-Atlantic regional grid operator PJM took the highly unusual step of filing an amicus brief, citing the need for the project's output and describing it as, quote, an integral component of needed new generation that PJM has been relying upon to timely achieve commercial operation, unquote. And PJM noted that with the long lead times for alternative new projects, extended delay of the offshore project would cause, quote, irreparable harm to the 67 million Americans served by PJM, unquote. It also noted that there are national security benefits in the form of a stronger and more reliable grid. PJM's actions are laudable, especially given the pressure it's under these days, combined with the political risk of antagonizing the White House, which is already looking a little askance at the RTO. Last week, at a White House meeting, the administration and a bipartisan group of governors met and called on PJM to schedule a one-time emergency capacity auction that would dedicate supply resources for 15 years solely to new data centers in an effort to minimize costs affecting other ratepayers. The White House event didn't include any data company officials, nor did it invite PJM. The administration claimed this new approach would bring $15 billion worth of additional power projects online, inoculating other ratepayers from data center-related cost pressures. However, it also noted it can't compel PJM to take this action, which is probably a good thing. Just step back for 1 minute and think about it. This approach would now, at least temporarily, create 2 parallel auction structures. One out-of-market approach for supply asset developers with guaranteed 15-year take-or-pay revenues, and the other one would be pretty much status quo. But there's a problem. Today's new supply resources are both constrained and finite. Per GE's most recent investor presentations, for example, new gas turbine availability is limited until after 2028. Meanwhile, interconnection locations are finite and almost no new transmission capacity is being constructed. So all straws would be in the same very limited drink. You may find new developers rushing to provision new data-related load and shifting their limited capital in that direction, while the existing system gets starved for additional supply since it would be less desirable to serve it. And who potentially gets hurt then? Well, everybody else. That's who, both in terms of costs and grid reliability. The challenge with our grid is that it's a system of systems, interwoven with our regional economy and global supply chains. Plus, electrons have their own unfortunate and pesky way of being dictated by physics, so power flows can also be impacted, and the unintended consequence of this auction could result in additional effects on grid infrastructure costs and reliability. That said, there are 2 features I like about this new approach. First, it focuses on marginal new resources. ISO New England used to have a separate price tranche for new resources, making capacity payments for up to 7 years. It always made sense to me that one should have a price to entice new entrants versus another price to keep on paying for existing steel in the ground where a single-year marginal cost signal isn't going to do much. Second, this new approach proposes a capacity price signal of 15 years, so investors could actually determine if a new investment is going to pencil. By contrast, today's annual prices that vary from year to year are next to useless in that regard. Back when I was heading up Constellation's DR group with our 1,700 megawatts of dispatchable load, I couldn't plan on revenues more than 1 year out. Some years the auction would bring us a windfall, and the next year we'd get badly torched and miss our commitments. That design was and is, in my opinion, ill-advised. If the point of capacity markets is to pay for reliability, which in itself is more of a social good than a commodity, then perhaps it's time to send a price signal that matters and helps guarantee that reliability. That would allow developers of new power plants, as well as potentially virtual power plants, to get much more visibility into the potential payoff of their investments. ISO New England's lock-in price was there 7 years of prices, but the FERC directed them to eliminate that approach in late 2020. At that time, analysts suggested the elimination of that approach would hurt developers of new gas generation, and they were probably right. It's time to reconsider this approach more broadly. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission will still need to bless the proposed emergency measure, and nothing's going to happen anytime in the immediate future. But in the interim, one can expect PJM and its capacity issue to remain in the middle of the political crosshairs and may remain that way for some time to come. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.